Dang. Yeah. Oh, right. I'm supposed to be recording right now. Hey guys, before we get into the video, I just want to say thanks. That was really amazing. That last video, and it, opened my eyes to video recording in general. And I just wanted to say that one full view is the world to me. Like, a like, a comment, maybe even a subscription. I just, yeah, anyways, let's get into the video. Today we're looking at making a tier list about video game controllers. The NES. And I wanted to, I forgot. Aesthetics are not a main point right now. It's mostly just comfortability and ease of use. And the higher something will be ranked is because it's a both better built controller and better feeling controller. Like, better built and better feeling. Anyways, so first, I'm going to put this in D tier because it's a brick, gray plastic brick with hard edges. The controllers aren't even at an angle, so super unergonomic. But it does have a D-pad, so that's not bad, but it's kind of my least favorite controller in the world. And then I'm gonna break people's hearts. I'm gonna put that at the most. I play with the Switch Pro controller so much. I love it. It's amazing. Anyway, the first controller was the NES controller. But yeah, this one is fantastic. That's a Smash Bros variant. I just have a regular one. It doesn't really matter because, it's probably the most comfortable controller I've ever used. Analog triggers would be cool, but I don't play a lot of racing games, so it really doesn't matter. But yeah, it is a really good controller. I'm just gonna do, going down the list, kind of left to right, and whatever pops in next. I'm gonna put this in C tier, but it's gonna probably be in low C tier, mostly because it's very uncomfortable to use on their own and on the console. There's so many things that augment your grip, like grip cases, and the Hori Split Pad Pro and stuff that aim to replace the Joy-Cons. And they're super uncomfy. But, they'll work in a pinch. I would take, if I have to, I have to. But it's not really my preferred thing. The Xbox 360 controller, I'm going to say that's an A tier for now. It's actually, a really comfy controller. My one gripe with it is the usability. It uses, triple A's. I would much rather it be a hardwired controller. There are hardwired controllers and there are softwired controllers. Anyways, so first, I'm going to put this in D tier because it's a brick, gray plastic brick with hard edges. The controllers aren't even at an angle, so super, but it uses a slightly proprietary shaped micro USB or something. Anyways, but super comfy. Probably one of the most innovative standard controllers of the past kind of recent era. Next, we're gonna put this in C tier for now. If it's probably only gonna move down. The Duke, the big fat Xbox original controller. It's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfy. The buttons suck. The triggers, since there's so much room inside of it, are loud as all hell. And the buttons, the start button, you have to reach over so far, the start and select. So far, because they're in the middle, down here. D-pad kind of sucks. It was kind of weird too, because it was that contoured one that woo. It is all like wavy and stuff. The teardrop buttons, the tiny little buttons up here that if you played certain kinds of games, oh yeah, I'm sure that if like this almost killed this controller here is why Xbox is not like popular in Japan at all. They would refuse to purchase it and stuff because of this controller. So when it came out in Japan, they made this one, and it's a lot better. I don't like the sticks, but it's probably just due to age. I mean, the sticks on my GameCube controllers are way better, but the sticks on the S are kind of hard. Really, like, I don't know, sticky feeling? I don't know if it's just my controller or they genuinely suck, but it's kind of uncomfy. Plus, you know, I do like the ergonomic placement over here of the, what's that called? Start and select, I'm dumb. And then they moved the black and white right there. Great design. The trigger's still at the back, still really loud, but you feel a lot better. And the rumble sounds so weird in this one. I don't really remember because I don't actually have one anymore. I got rid of it because it just completely broke on me. But yeah, I don't really remember the rumble on that one, but I do on that. I suppose the HD rumble is the kind of the best part about the Switch Joy-Cons, by the way. But damn, the buttons being straight up from the sticks and stuff, and being straight, no contouring on the back either. There's just most things about the controller, like there's no travel. I have my Switch down here because he was playing it earlier, but like, and also, like there's no travel. You nudge it and it's done. The Pro Controller is almost a necessary buy, but it's like almost prohibitively expensive for a controller. And then if you want a special one, you either like, you know, go on Amazon, get a third-party case, which isn't as good as the original, or you shell out $1 million on eBay for a special edition. It has HD Rumble. That's probably the best thing about the Switch is HD Rumble, in my opinion. Like, apart from it being a Switch, like, I'll take bad graphics on Doom Eternal if I can play Doom Eternal on the toilet, on the bus, in the park with HD Rumble. Stuff's amazing. Anyways, the Xbox Controller S is okay. It's B for me. I played tons of hours in Morrowind and KOTOR and stuff. Jeez, this controller... I spent a summer on just that controller, like, 2 years ago. It's... So I don't know if I'm biased towards it or against it, but I think it's a solid B. The SNES controller is also a B, but it's higher. Yeah, the SNES controller is amazing because it contoured the buttons. It's a lot more comfy. It's kind of like the Dogbone controller for the late era NES, which is kind of like this, but like this. But like, you know, it's just better. Anyways, it also has like bumpers. I know most people call them triggers if there are no bumpers, but bumpers are the top ones that are like the shoulder buttons, and then the triggers are the below. So yeah, that's my definition. It's a lot more comfier than the NES, but it's not like perfect. It still doesn't have thighs, which is probably my biggest gripe. Then the next one is the DualShock 4. DualShock 4 is a lot better than the PS3 controller. I have gripes with that. It has a touchpad. I'm gonna put it there. The D-pads on PlayStation controllers suck, in my opinion. The triggers on this one, great. The bumpers, great. The button placement, great. No select button. It's like a capture button instead, which is annoying. I don't love that, but whatever. I suppose if you play like really pretty games like Destiny or whatever. Why did I think of Destiny? I would so go for like Skyrim or something for capturing. Anyways, and the touchpad and the light bar on the back. The light bar is a little bright, so you know, you go on Etsy if you want to change that with like cool emblems or your favorite characters or whatever. But I think it's cool. I mean, I prefer like 4 green lights like on the Switch stuff, but you know, it's good. It's a comfy controller. It's a lot better than the PS3 because the thighs are a lot more well defined. I still don't like the side-by-side analog sticks. But yeah, because PlayStation analog sticks are right beside each other at the bottom, right here and here, when classically Xbox does that, and you know, Nintendo with a GameCube and Switch do that too. I like that a lot more because it's a lot more comfy. I think it's a lot more ergonomically viable. And if you play Smash a lot, like of course you want your buttons there and your stick there because you can be using it, right? It's kind of what's perfect about the GameCube controller. Yeah. But it's good, but it can be better. And the DualSense isn't on here, but I would probably go beside right here, beside the Switch Pro controller. You know, because it has the triggers. That does it for me. This is the Sega Saturn controller. It's a Sega controller, and it also doesn't have thighs. It has 3 face buttons, no triggers. It's weird. Same with the Genesis controller. Like, I mean, it's comfy, and it was tons of people's childhood, but you don't see, you know, controllers taken after that. You see controllers taken after classically the SNES, because like, look at the PlayStation. 2 circles connected by candy bar. 2 circles connected by candy bar. You know? 2 circles connected by candy bar. That's the kind of shape, not, oh, it's a macaroni controller. Anyways, I don't know. I don't love them. They also don't have like, you know, sensible placement for like, they don't have a start and select. Like, I don't get why when controllers don't have multiple buttons like that. I don't know. I don't really get the Sega controllers. They're very comfy in my opinion. Wii U gamepad. I'm gonna have to put that low A tier because physically it's comfy. It's nice to hold a hunk, like a lot of, you know, stuff. Everything's well spaced, and it has a friggin' screen and a webcam on it. A screen and a webcam and a controller. It works over Wi-Fi. It streams kind of poorly, but it's a controller. Not like a handheld. It's not like a Switch, where it's like, oh yeah, it's a tablet with controllers inside. It's a controller with a tablet in the middle. It's so weird. Plus, it has to be charged so much. But it is very innovative. The worst game on that console is probably Star Fox Zero, and it kind of is built wholly around the controlling it via, and like seeing the gameplay on there and then seeing like more stuff. It's kind of weird, but it was perfect for inventory management games I feel like Resident Evil games would be superb on the Wii U. Wii U just didn't see much sales because it was called the Wii U, and everyone thought it was a controller accessory for the Wii. And also the marketing was Wii U, which we in English means is like a together pronoun kind of word. And you is a second person, you know? It's so dumb. It was so dumb. It was poorly marketed. It was marketed to children. And honestly, it's kind of a complex controller for children. Like, it's cool, but it's kind of complex. PS1 controller can go down here in high C, not soda. And then this can go in low C. This added 2 sticks and rumble. This added basically nothing new. Well, it added thighs and triggers. It added thighs to this because, you know, the history behind the PlayStation, it was a add-on for the Super Nintendo or whatever. It didn't work out. So now we have PlayStation, and they're number 2 in the world. Well, they're, in my mind, they're number 2. Number 1 is Nintendo, but that's my heart, not world. It's kind of the opposite. But, you know, the PlayStation controllers are really cool. The thighs are way more well designed on the DualShock 1 versus the PlayStation 1 controller. I don't know if it has its own unique name, but the DualShock 1 and 2 were great and fantastic. So let's bring that down, and let's put this in D, because it was brittle plastic. Someone who has a firm grip and isn't perfect at gaming when they were a kid ended up smashing a controller, and it shattered. Have you ever played Minecraft with a controller where its thighs don't have ends because they fell off due to normal wear? Slightly above normal wear. Slightly above normal use. It's a bad controller. It uses micro or mini USB, which is terrible. The PlayStation 4 isn't much better. It uses micro B, but I mean, it did come out in like 2013, so I'm not gonna like yell at it for that. And of course, you know, product of its age. It came out in like 2006. Whoop do you freaking do, right? So, you know, it's not a perfect controller. Rumble was fine. Ergonomics are fine, but it's super light and super cheap feeling compared to the PS2 controller, which is, you know, I wish we could use the PS2 controller on the PS3, but it doesn't have backwards compatibility with the controllers, which is a bigger issue in gaming that only Nintendo seems to do right. Anyways, yeah, so the PS3 controller sucks. I hate it. I like the home button in that generation, because, you know, they used to have the 7th generation was the first generation with like OSs on the thing that wasn't like just to run games and or do file stuff or run movies and music. Like, I mean, fundamentally that's everything it could do, plus streaming Netflix and stuff. But it ran FreeBSD, and it had like a powerful enough computer processor. Like, it had a kind of like an old Mac in it, because it was like a PowerPC. I mean, everything in that gen was PowerPC, but you know, those consoles actually ran full OSs. Like, Wii was iOS, not Apple. It's different. It ran iOS. And then the other ones I think was FreeBSD, but I don't know what the Xbox was. The original Xbox did run Windows CE, Centennium Edition or whatever, Centennial Edition? Anyways, it ran that, or me. I forget, but it did run one of those, and it ran like legit Windows, but it was basically the first console that was really a gaming PC way back in the thing, because it had like a GeForce 3 on board, and it had a hard drive. So to me, it had like tangible PC parts. It was built like a PC with internal SCSI and stuff. So this was the first kind of real gaming PC that's a console. But that's basically what it was built for anyways. Yeah, you watch my videos for the history and the rambling, not the actual tier lists. I'm kidding, but you know, you did click on the video. I'm gonna put this in low A tier. I did a whole video on GameCube controllers, which I will link at the end, in the end card. Just because I think that, you know, those are my two videos out right now, right? But, you know, it's cool. It's a good controller. I like it. It's pretty. Comes in tons of pretty colors. It's, like, actually really nice to mod. PlayStation controllers on the inside actually have a membrane, like a keyboard membrane almost. And I know that it works the same with all of these controllers. They have like their switches are just pads that get connected like a membrane keyboard does. But the thing with PlayStation controllers is they actually have that part of the controller is a thin piece of plastic that is pressure held to the board, not soldered, but pressure fitted with the case being closed. And that leads to the PS3 controller freakouts, which, you know, all PlayStation controllers will freak out at some point because the foam degrades. That kind of keeps it pressured to the motherboard of the controller. And it really pissed me off, and Nintendo's good about not doing that and stuff. Internally, Nintendo controllers are beautiful, and Xbox controllers are kind of cool, but just a little weirder. I'm kidding around. Next is N64. No, it's uncomfy. It's ugly. It's not great. I mean, you know, amazing games were played with that. Amazing controllers were, you know, played and developed for that controller. The games were great. The controller is an awful, unergonomic mess. I would rather, you know, Joy-Cons to that. I'd rather the PS3 controller to that because at least it had dual analog and not terrible analog. The only good way to hold it is the outside prongs, and then you can't use the analog stick, which is the whole reason that it's there, is to use it. So, you know, go figure. It sucks. I hate it. It's annoying. But so many great video games debuted with that controller. So many. Doom 64, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Mario 64, you know, GoldenEye, all those, Banjo-Kazooie series, Conker, all those great games on that controller, and the controller freaking sucks. Like, kids are gonna eat up what they're given, but, you know, hindsight says that we don't want to play with that anymore. I'm gonna put this low C tier because I kind of dislike it, but I would rather it over the PS3 controller any day because it's a hardwired controller and it has VMUs, which is amazing. It actually has a lot in common with the Wii U because it has a screen in the middle of it. But it does suck because it doesn't have a second analog stick. The analog stick is also not covered in rubber, which is dumb. And it's not like concave either. It's convex. Like it's a dome of plastic. It sucks. And also the connector comes out of the bottom of the controller, which the original Xbox controllers had the same kind of thing where you put 2 memory cards in the top. But of course, you couldn't see them out of the front of it, which, you know, sucks, but yeah. And they managed to get the wire poking out the right direction, but these guys, nah. Bro, we're gonna push it out the back. It has a tail. It doesn't have an antenna. Bad jokes, I know. It's what you came here for, if you even watched this far. The D-pad looks fine. The buttons are weirdly colored. I mean, they're colored buttons, so it's cool. And you know, who else was coloring their buttons like that? It's Sega. It's a Sega controller. It's not an Xbox. It's not a Nintendo. You don't have to make it any sort of way. But it had dual analog, but no dual analog sticks. It had dual analog triggers, which is cool. But you couldn't play Quake correctly. And I mean, no one knew back then how to, you know, use a controller to do first-person shooters in the 90s, because it came out in 98. But, like, this didn't help at all. It sucks. You're basically playing it like you're playing Metroid Prime on a GameCube controller, except without a bumper. So, yeah. Guess you get no maps. I'm gonna put this in high A because it's not as good as you know, it's not S tier because it's kind of wonky shaped, but it brought the motion controls to the forefront of gaming more so than the DualShock 3 did. DualShock 3's implementation of motion controls sucked. But the Wii, you know, had two infrared lights that it used for constant calibration of the sensor. And that's not gyroscope, it's just the motion. So it's kind of wonky how that does, but it's cool, it works. Fun fact, if you have a cat who likes to eat cables and they ate your sensor bar cable, just use tea candles. Like literally. Fire will also work. Yeah, and I think the best implementation of this was Metroid Prime 3 Corruption and Metroid Prime Trilogy, which, you know, had it's kind of the closest you can get to mouse and keyboard quality without using mouse and keyboard. And it's better than mouse and keyboard because you still get an analog stick to move. Although it's not like a solid thing, it works out to being very slightly better than mouse and keyboard in very specific settings. Games that work perfectly are like the Metroid Prime series with New Play Control and Trilogy and Prime 3 Corruption. And, you know, games that don't use it well are games that tell you to shake the controllers. That's the problem with it. And then another problem is that it also brought on the Kinect and PlayStation Move, and those kind of suck. But at least PlayStation got to use the moves in the VR headset, like PSVR. So that's a kind of redemption of that. But outside of like a kind of the specific setting that it was good in, it was kind of, it's also uncomfortable and games like Other M kind of forced you to play Candy Bar style, like an NES controller. Oh, it was just uncomfortable. Plus, it ate double A's. It didn't have rechargeable batteries, which sucks in 2005 or 6 or whenever it came out. I forget. The Xbox Series 6, the Xbox One controller / X and S, because it's literally the exact same, just a little bit different. It's actually like not a bad controller. It's really loud though, like weirdly loud. Like the D-pad's super clicky and loud. The triggers are fine, they're good. The bumpers are super clicky. The buttons are pretty weird. Although, if you like tire tracks, you'll love the analog sticks. Also, the analog sticks were pretty good. I like that. But the problem was that it didn't have like motion or anything new. Didn't bring anything new. Other than maybe instead of the share, or instead of the select, you have like share or whatever. But yeah, it wasn't great. I had micro USB, which is a product at the time, but still. No, you know what? I'm gonna put that down there, and that goes down there too, because that was uncomfortable. These controllers are fine. These ones are trash. These ones are, These ones are good. That one's, These ones are good. That's really good. That's yeah. Also, like, taking into consideration I have massive hands. Like I think I have like normal size hands, but I also have like bigger than a tiny person's hands, so whatever. Anyways, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Hey, you made it this far, and that means you're amazing. Legitimately. I'm serious, bro. But like, more seriously, this is the end card, and I want you guys to know that your support means the world to me. And I want to make more, of course. And I'm gonna link the GameCube one right after I edit and post stuff. Yeah. Anyways, like, comment, subscribe. If you don't want to like, you can dislike. Then it works fine. Send it to someone you hate, and they'll hate it too. They'll like it. Depends on how they think. And get vaccinated. Like, really get vaccinated. And if you aren't yet, get vaccinated. If you are, get your second one. And if you have that already, that's amazing. Good job. Yeah. Anyways, have a nice night, or day, or whatever time you're watching this at. And, have yourself a lovely time. See you later.